Assalamu alaikum to all of you. In this lecture, I will be discussing with you about the topic, the shift in the market equilibrium. That what happens when there is a change or when there is a change in the ceteris paribus occurs, what will be the impact on the market equilibrium? Generally we have, suppose this type of the graph, where we put here the quantities demanded and supplied of product. Any kind of the product we can use. So let's have a discussion. And on the vertical line, we have to mention the price of product. Per product, what will be the price or what is the price of the product? So these are the different prices. Suppose this is the demand line. Demand 0, D0 shows that this is the original line or initial line, then when we have the ceteris paribus demand curve. And we have some kind of the supply curve, and we say this is the supply curve 0, means this is the actual equilibrium in the market at this price, equilibrium price, and this one is the equilibrium quantity demanded and supplied. And the point which we are mentioning here, this one is the equilibrium. So when we have drawn this one, we have ceteris paribus. The term ceteris paribus is a Latin word which means all else which has the impact on the supply and the demand, means other than price, all the factors will remain constant. So there are different factors in case of the demand and different in the case of the supply. So when we see, suppose these are the factors, demand factors. What are the factors affecting the demand? We say that suppose the income of the buyer, the taste of the buyer, the number of buyers, price of substitute, and the future expectations, these are the few factors which have the impact on the demand and the price, which we have already discussed, because we have in this model, in this graph, we are already discussing about the price, that at these prices this will be the equilibrium in the market, and above these points, all these points, this is the surplus, and all the points which are below the equilibrium price, they create the shortage. As we have discussed, that the surplus is that market condition when quantity supplied is greater than the quantity demanded, and the shortage is that market condition when quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supplied. So when there is a surplus in the market, the prices have to decrease, because if the people they want to sell, if the sellers they want to sell the remaining amount, because what they want to sell is not purchased by the people because of the higher prices. So if they have to sell, then they have to decrease the price. So in the surplus condition, there is a pressure on the prices to fall. And in case of the shortage, so whenever there is a shortage, it means people, they want to buy more, but the sellers, they are not willing to sell the same quantity which people want to buy. So that is why there is a huge gap. And then whenever there is a shortage in the market, then prices will increase because the sellers know that more people they want to buy, but very few items are available in the market. So they increase the prices. People have to wait for their turn to buy. So this is the actual situation. Now we say, suppose that these are the factors, they have also impact on the market equilibrium or market condition, and these are the demand factors, and we have also the supply factors. And what are the supply factors which has impact on the supply? The technical input prices, the technology, then number of firms, price of related good, future expectations, even the taxes and the subsidies are also, these are the factors that have the impact on the supply. So now we will discuss one by one that how these factors can affect the equilibrium condition. Now suppose we say that income is changing. Now this is the given situation. Now we have allowed the income to change, and income can increase, income can decrease. We say, suppose that income of the buyer increased. So what happens with the market equilibrium condition when the income of the buyer increases? And one must need to understand, one must need to recall the memory, or one must have to understand that income will affect on what? Whether it will have the impact on the supply or it will have the impact on the demand. So it's very easy, and one can, if you remember the factors, that which are the factors affecting the supply and which are the factors affecting the demand, then you can easily understand that how the change in these factors, whether these are the demand factors or the supply factors, they have the impact on this graph. So we say, suppose income of the buyer increased. What happens when the income of the buyer increases? Let's check that how the income of the buyer is going to affect. Previously we say, suppose at this price, this was the quantity people were willing to buy, and at this price, this is the quantity, and at this price, this was the quantity sellers were willing to sell. That is why we say that there is a surplus, and at this price, this is the quantity people were willing to sell in the case of the shortage, and at this price, this is the quantity the buyers they were willing to buy. So that is why supply is less than the demand. So that is why we say there is a shortage and there is a demand is greater than, demand is less than the supply. that is why we have the surplus. But now income of the buyer has changed. So let's take the impact of the change of the income on the demand curve. We assume that the product which we are discussing is a normal good, because income is the impact on the normal goods. Whenever the income of the buyer increases, people buy more. They tend to buy more because they wanted to buy more, but because of the limitedness of the income, they were not able to buy it more. So now, when income of the buyer increase, we say that this price, what was the quantity people, or what is the quantity people are willing to buy? We are saying that this one, when price changes, when income of the buyer increased, previously the people were buying at this price, this quantity. But now they are willing to buy this quantity. Means they are willing to buy more at this price because now they can afford to buy more. And at this price, previously they were able to buy this quantity, and this quantity has created this price has created the equilibrium. Now, at this price, we say suppose they are able to buy this quantity, and at this price they are able to buy this quantity. So we can connect these lines, and we have the outward shifted line. So we can name this one the demand curve 1. That when income of the buyer increased, it will shift the demand line towards the outward direction or towards the rightward direction. Then the question is, where will be the new equilibrium? What will be the quantity? And what will be the price of equilibrium price? So let's check that where the equilibrium is occurring on this due to change in the income. We said when income increased, now where the lines are crossing each other. This is the supply is not changing. We haven't discussed about the change in these factors. We have only discussed about the change in the income which is affecting the demand. So this is the new equilibrium, and previously this was the equilibrium, suppose 0, original equilibrium. Now this is the new equilibrium. This is the equilibrium price, and this is the equilibrium quantity demanded and supplied. Now you can simply understand that when income of the buyer increases, there will be shift in the demand line, and due to shift in the demand line towards the outward direction, we have the new equilibrium, and in market now people are willing and able to buy more at higher price as compared to the previous price. If we say suppose this was this is the 7th price and this one is the 9th price, so now previously people just suppose we say this was the 50 or this is 50, and now they are willing to buy 60. It means when there is an outward shift in the equilibrium price, income of the, due to change in the income of the buyer, there will be outward shift in the demand curve. So new equilibrium will be a higher price, and higher will be the quantity. This is the way that you can explain that when there will be outward shift in the outward shift in the demand curve, then there will be the new equilibrium. Supply is not changing, but we are buying more, so that is why our buyers and sellers, they are willing and able to buy the higher quantity as compared to the previous one at higher price. So the same effect will be shown on the graph, or you can explain all other impacts of the demand, that if taste increases, now people they want to buy more, or they want to eat more, or they want to consume more. Now they like it, they like the product more as compared to the previous one. So there will be outward shift when taste changes positively, and this type of the graph will be there. It's not necessary that we move like such kind of a distance. You can have very close lines. And number of buyers, when number of buyers increase, then again there will be outward shift in the demand line. And we have this kind of the graph that new equilibrium will be at higher price and at higher quantity. And even if the price of substitute falls, or if the price of substitute increases, the substitute means the things which we use as alternates. If the price of substitute increases, then again we have the outward shift in this demand line. So we have the new equilibrium at higher price and the higher quantity. And if the future expectations changes, then tomorrow price will fall. Future expectations regarding the price is that tomorrow the price of this product will fall. The price of this product will rise. So when price of this product rise tomorrow, people rush to buy more today. So that is why we say that we have outward shift in the demand line, and there will be new equilibrium in the market. So now let's have a new point to discuss. We are saying it's not necessary that always you have this was the equilibrium 0 and this is the equilibrium 1. Now we say suppose income is decreasing. We are changing the demand factors in another direction. Now we say suppose the income of the buyer decreased. Whenever the income of the buyer decreases, people tend to buy less if the product is a normal good. So we say suppose people they want to buy nothing at this price. You can see previously they were buying this one. At this price, people they are willing to buy this quantity. Previously they were willing to buy this one. And at this price, they are willing to buy this quantity. At this price, they are willing to buy this quantity. So when we have fall in the income, when income of the buyer falls, there will be inward shift in the demand line. So whenever the demand line shifts towards the leftward direction or the inward direction, then where is the new equilibrium? Now you have to focus on the new equilibrium, that where the demand and supply line are crossing. Here is the new equilibrium. Equilibrium 2. It means we have treated this one as a 0, this one is the 1, and this one is 2. Now you can see that where is the new equilibrium? This is the equilibrium 2. This is the equilibrium 0. And this one is the equilibrium 1. This is equilibrium price 1. This is equilibrium price 2. This is equilibrium 1, this is equilibrium 0, and this is equilibrium 2. So now you can see that where is the new equilibrium? Here. It is less than the previous one. So when there is an inward shift in the demand line occurs, whether this shift is because of the fall in the income or negative change in the taste or fall in the number of the buyers or increase in the price of the or the decrease in the price of the substitute, taste decreases, or future expectations that tomorrow price will fall, then there will be inward shift in the demand line. So the new equilibrium will be at lower price and lower quantity. You can see that the new equilibrium is less quantity and at lower price. So this is the impact of the change or the shift in the demand factors on the market equilibrium. Now let's check the impact of supply factors. Now we are changing, I am simply removing the previous one just to explain. Sorry for the inconveniences. Now we have such kind of we say suppose this is the graph, this is the market equilibrium graph, here is the market equilibrium, and we treat we say that this is the equilibrium, market equilibrium, quantity demanded and supplied 0. This is equilibrium 0. This is demand curve 0. Now we say that now instead of change in the demand factors, we say suppose there is some change in the supply factors is occurring. Means the factors which have the impact on the supply. If we say suppose input price falls, if the input price falls, input means these are the raw materials or the things which we use to produce the good or service which we are talking about. When input price falls, it means now it's cheaper to produce the same thing, or the same thing can cost you less as compared to the previous one. So when there is a fall in the input price, there will be outward shift in the supply line. Means you can see that at same price, people they are now willing to buy more, but sellers they are willing to sell where the lines are crossing here. Now where is the new equilibrium? This one is the new equilibrium. What happens? This is market equilibrium price 0. when there is a shift in the supply curve, when there is a change in the supply factors occurs, there is a shift in the outward or inward shift in the supply line occurs. So when input price falls, there will be outward shift in the supply line. So supply curve 1. So where will be the new equilibrium? The new equilibrium will be at lower price and higher quantity. You can see now firms, they are willing and able to sell more at lower prices as compared to the previous one. Why they are willing and able to sell more? Because of the fall in the input price. And if we say suppose there is an increase in the input price, instead of fall there is an increase in the input price, we say that there will be inward shift in the supply curve. Input price increase means the cost of production increases. So when cost of production increases, it means people there, the sellers, they have to pay more for the same product. So there will be new equilibrium in the market. This is supply curve 2 and this is equilibrium 2. Now where will be the new equilibrium? New equilibrium will be at higher price. You can see higher than the equilibrium, previously our original equilibrium price, and lower quantity. As compared to the previous one, now people, they are willing to sell less at higher prices, and this is because of the increase in the input prices. And same way, the technology can affect. If the technology improves, there will be outward shift in the supply line, and such kind of impact or effect on the market equilibrium, and vice versa. If the technology becomes adverse or outdated, then it has a negative impact. And the number of buyers, some firms, if the number of firms increases, then there will be outward shift and there will be new equilibrium at lower price and at higher quantity, and the vice versa. And I hope you will understand, or you are understanding the effect of these factors on this equilibrium. Sometimes or usually demand and supply factors, they change at the same time. Means if suppose we say there is a shift in the supply line and there is also a shift in the demand line, means if suppose income is increasing and input price is also increasing or decreasing, it means they are changing. So it has also the impact on the market equilibrium. So I hope you have understood this concept, and let me explain two other concepts. That there is a price ceiling and price floor. These are the two techniques which are used by the governments to encourage or discourage the buyers and sellers. Price ceiling is the maximum price. When government announces the price ceiling, nowadays we are in the month of Ramadan, and usually in this month we have the list pasted on the walls, of the sellers or the shopkeepers. They display the prices of the items, where government gives them the prices, list of the prices, that they cannot charge or they cannot sell anything above this price. So price ceiling is the maximum price sellers can charge. If anyone charges or imposes higher price than the price ceiling, then the person will be punished according to the law. And another is the price floor. Price floor is the minimum price. Minimum price is announced by the government, that when government want to encourage the producers to produce more, when government announces the price floor, it usually encourages the sellers to produce more, just like the wheat support price, the cotton support price, or the sugarcane support price. These are the support prices announced by the governments just to encourage the sellers to produce more. Usually these prices are announced for the important crops. So here, if we say suppose this one is the market equilibrium, if government imposes price ceiling above the market equilibrium price, then it creates the surplus. If the price ceiling is below the market equilibrium, it creates the shortage. And if price floor is below the market equilibrium price, then it creates the shortage. And if the price floor is above the market equilibrium price, it creates the surplus. So thank you for watching. I hope you have understood the concepts of the shift in the equilibrium, that how these factors are affecting the shift market equilibrium, and also I have tried to explain the price ceiling and the price floor. These are the two concepts. They are also related to the market equilibrium. Thank you for watching.